Ooh. It's chocolatey, leathery, tastes like an old bookcase. That's pretty good. Let's see what wow. Also one of the least this is the...
I'm Matthew Horkey. For the last 7 years, I've traveled around the world tasting thousands of wines annually in search of the most unique, exciting, and expensive bottles on the planet.
We have the Smith-Madrone Cook's Flat. This is $200 to $230. This is from Napa Valley, while we have the Bull by the Horns from Paso Robles. This is a Cabernet that runs about 23 bucks. Why is there such a big difference in price? This confuses a lot of people. There are a lot of factors that determine why wines cost more than the other. One of the first ones is the cost of grapes. Let's face it, you need better raw material to make better wine. The grapes that go into that $2 chalk are a lot less expensive than grapes that go into Grand Cru Bordeaux or Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. If you cook it all, you know it's all about the freshness of the ingredients. You use the best ingredients possible to make the most flavorful dishes without having to use a bunch of seasonings and a lot of spices. And the cost of grapes ties into the next thing, the cost of land. Location, location, location. Places like Napa Valley, some places Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne in France. Just to purchase an acre or a hectare of vineyards, you can start getting into the high sixes, maybe even 7 figures. That cost gets passed down to the bottle and then finally to the consumer. Then it's cost of production. In the New World, the wineries had to go and buy a lot of the expensive winemaking equipment. Those costs have to be passed down as well. European wines in general, especially the traditional countries like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, the wineries, the land have been in the families for generations. Next is supply and demand. Let's just face it, some wines are more coveted than the others. Some of the most expensive wines in the world, like the DRC, Domaine Romane Conti, those wines go into the 5 figures per bottle. They are rare. There's so few bottles, collectors want them, and they're willing to pay a premium for that rarity, that luxury. Next factor is comes down to marketing. Wine is a super tough business. Go into your local supermarket. Look at the wine section versus any other section. Not even beverage section, any section. There's a bigger choice of wine than beer, soda, anything else. No wonder that people go in there, look at the selection, their head starts to spin. There are a handful of wineries, like I was talking about, that Domaine Romane Conti, that are just, they're in a different stratosphere than other wines. A lot of other wines are good, but they need marketing. They need to get out there. They need to put themselves out there, and that costs money too. Okay, I think really good wine should be a little more expensive, but it doesn't have to break the bank. I refer often to my price quality chart. We're in the $25 to $50 range. You're going to get phenomenal wines. When you go into Europe, some countries, especially Spain, Italy, Portugal, France even, that number can be pushed down even further. Sometimes you can find phenomenal wines at 10 to 15 bucks. Of course, there has to be some level of quality, but in general, when you're talking about fine wines, wines that generally critics are going to score 90, 92 and up, the differences between all these wines are so subtle. I think it's harder to judge a flight of excellent wines than it is a mix, or wines that are cheap and then wines that are a little higher quality. Those you can taste the drastic differences. Regardless, I have a lineup of 12 Bordeaux blends from across the world. These wines range anywhere from $230 down to $18 bucks. I have 5 wines in the lineup that are over $100. The other 7 are at nice attractive price points, 18 to 60, 70 bucks, where I think you're going to find a lot of value. And if you don't know what a Bordeaux blend is, I assume you do if you watch the channel. Bordeaux is a wine named after the city of Bordeaux in France, one of the most famous wines in the world, based primarily off 6 grapes: Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Carmenere, and Malbec. Although traditionally, if it's just Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon in the blend, people think it's a Bordeaux blend. These wines have been replicated all around the world. I have wines here from Washington State, California, Bordeaux in France, Australia, Lebanon, Italy. It's taken me over 6 months to get all these wines together, so I'm excited to taste. You ready? Let's see if a $200 wine is really that much better than a $20 wine. Some big time wines. We need some big time glasses. I'm tasting on my Gabriel Glas Standart edition. The universal glasses in the Bordeaux shape. Some of my favorite glasses. They're just awesome. I'll leave a link in the description box below. If you purchase with that link, it helps the channel a lot, so I appreciate it. A big blind tasting. Really hard to fit everything here on the desk. Got my handy notepad. I think this is gonna be awesome. These are not all the same vintage. However, they're all current releases, so the vintages may be off. Some of them, 2 of them are Southern Hemisphere wines, so obviously that factors in. I think I only have 1 wine here that maybe is going to be of lower quality, Let's see if I can spot it out. I'm a little bit nervous about this episode because there are some pretty serious wines in here. And if they don't do well, like I said, I work off samples, so maybe I'll never get samples again. Wine 1, Bordeaux blend, Cassis, shows oak. This is leathery though. It's not all fruit, old world, like maybe Italian or Frenchy. It's chocolatey, leathery, tastes like an old bookcase, I think. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. This is going to be one hard episode because that's already showing super nice. Wine 2 smells younger, smells a little bit brighter. It's really clean, precise. Might be a little bit younger. Still has some green pepper, some cassis taste smells to me like it could be mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. It's so young. It's not really showing the depth. There's so many wines here. This is what's going to be difficult. I just got to call a spade a spade. It's good. It's good, but the first one was awesome. Let's go for wine 3 and 4. This is a little bit difficult because the desk is so full. I have to write this down. I don't want to knock anything over. I got to manage 2 cameras. Wine 3 has a lot of cassis, deep flavors, mocha. Wine 3, to me, tastes a little bit younger. I don't know. I feel like it tastes like a high quality wine, but just hasn't unfurled yet completely. I like the capsicum notes a lot here. Oof. Wine 4 is the youngest. It just smells like a young wine. This has got like a twiggy mulberry type flavor to it. I have to say I didn't like it at first because I feel like it tastes a little bit too oaky, but the length is kind of impressing me. It's starting to come back a bit. I think 4 is going to be the type of wine a lot of people are going to like because it has some of those oaky notes. For me, it's the wine that I don't like the most so far in this lineup. Wine 5, it just has a little bit more character, kind of volatile acidity, more traditional type flavors, has some age, I think. Volatile acidity is going to show up in all wines that are aged in the barrel because in essence, wine wants to become vinegar. And as it starts to move that way, you're going to get more volatile acidity, more volatile compounds. I usually don't mind it, but it's pretty high in this wine. Wine 6 also shows a lot of oak, a lot of chocolate, vanilla, cassis. It's really easy to get a lot of oak on these wines, especially as you're young, especially in Bordeaux, Napa. You're using a lot of wood early on in the process. That oak over time kind of melts into the wine as it ages in the bottle. Number 6 is a little oaky for me now, but I cannot, on the finish, the quality is really good. Tannins are grippy. I think I'm going to give that the benefit of the doubt. I think it's a pretty good wine. It's really hard, too, to evaluate Bordeaux blends in general. As they start to age, that's when they start to develop all these complexities and furl into something really nice. Wine 7 also has that volatile acidity I was talking about, but it's kind of under control. Leather, mocha, it feels like it has some age on it. A little bit of sour cherry, more red fruit driven. Pretty complex. I like 7 a lot. I would just want a little bit more length. I like the complexities. Let's try out wine number 8. 8, a lot of menthol. If you ever had Coonawarra Cabernet from Australia, that's what it smells like. You get a lot of mint eucalyptus. I don't have a Coonawarra Cab here, although I do have an Australian one. Could it be it? Bright red fruits. Pretty good. Again, these are so hard to score. These types of wines taste better with age. I think also with Bordeaux blends, it's easy to score them a little bit harder when they're younger because the tannins can really start to get to you. I haven't really picked out yet what are the most expensive wines in the bunch here. Maybe I'm off a little bit today. Who knows? Wine 9 has creme de la cassis, menthol, dark fruit flavors. That's good. A lot of mineral flavors on the finish. That's really good, I think. Wine 9 is super impressive to me. You gotta be careful with these scores on Bordeaux blends early on because I can see that this is a high quality wine. Maybe it's not as enjoyable and altogether yet, but I can, like all the components in there, it's a really good wine. Really good. I mean, that might be my second favorite wine thus far. Let's go on to wine 10. A lot of mocha, chocolate, leather, like a soy sauce component. Ooh. These last 2, 9 and 10, there are some serious wines. Those were good, whatever. Coming up the rear, number 11 and 12. It's also when you're tasting these types of wines, don't take the scoring as gospel. Think about it. I'm just sitting here making a snap judgment in time with these wines. You need to spend time with a wine to get to know it because good wines unfurl over time. This is just a snap judgment in time, but hey, I'm not going to make a video that's going to be 24 hours long. Okay, wine 11 here. Oh. Cassis, menthol. I like this a lot. Fruity, but not too fruity. Good finish. Spicy. I have 2 wines here that I think that are Australian wines, but yet there's only 1 Aussie wine. So 12 also has some volatile acidity going on. Oh, when I shake it off, it starts to smell really good. Mocha, leather. black cherry, plum. Pretty good. Okay, I guess you have to double check a few here. This is why it's so important to be with wine. Wine number 5 that I said had the highest volatile acidity, that's kind of blown off, and it's actually become it's become really nice, actually. Maybe I should just do a quick overview of all of them here. Now I'm confused. Oh, then again, maybe I'll mess myself up. I think I'm all set. When you're blind tasting like this, you got to go for your first instinct. You ready? I'm ready. I'm really excited to see what's going to be revealed here. Let's get it. Overall, there were some pretty darn good wines here. I'm not yet able to ascertain, which ones are the most expensive, which ones are the least expensive. The only wine that scored under 90 for my palate today, number 4, mulberry, twig, oaky. I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser. I think that a lot of people might actually think like this is the best wine ever. So let's see. I think it's young. I thought this is the McPrice Myers Bull by the Horn Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. This is $20 to $23. One of the least expensive wines in the bunch. Again, this is 2021. Super young. For me, this is typical what you're going to pour by the house in some American steakhouses in terms of more inexpensive cab. The wine's good. 89 points. For me, not the nuances that I want. It's fruity, it's oaky. Number 2 at 90 plus points. Younger cab, more medium bodied. The problem was it was scored up against number 1, which I thought was an outstanding wine. I gave this 90 plus points. Let's see what it, wow. Also one of the least this is the Pairing Red from Santa Barbara County. This is 50% Cabernet Sauvignon, 25 Cabernet Franc, then some Merlot Petit Verdot. 90 plus points, $25. This I think is consistently one of the best deals in California cab. It's owned by the same estate that owns Honada, Screaming Eagle, and Napa as well. So it's got cult pedigree, younger vines, $25. 2 of the 3 least expensive wines scored in the lowest part of the spectrum. Number 5 was so confusing. I went back and retasted some of the wines. At first I said, man, the volatile acidity is so high. It starts to smell like vinegar. That blew off the second time. I had it as low as 88 the first time. I went back and rescored it and also tied 90 plus. Let's see if we get all the inexpensive cabs out of the way or not, or somebody's gonna be that. Wow. This is a pretty iconic wine. This is the Loredan Gasparini Capo di Stato 2016 from Montello. This is from Veneto, northern Italy. This comes in around $65. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, La Riviere. I think it was one of the oldest wines in the bunch, so that makes sense. I have 2 tied here for 91 points. Number 7, volatile, leathery. It is complex, just didn't have like the finish of some of the other wines. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was out. Wow. This is the Château Ksara Cabernet Sauvignon, 100% 2017 from Lebanon. This comes in at $18. So far we've cleared out the 3 least expensive wines. So there weren't any surprises there. I thought we'd get a surprise and the least expensive wines would show up at the top. 91 points, $18. The cheapest wine, I thought it was pretty good Cabernet, to be honest. This is the largest producer in Lebanon. An old monastery helped preserve some of the winemaking traditions in Lebanon. Nice showing at $18. If you didn't see any of my Lebanese red wine videos, I'll put them in below. I think it's a country you really have to look out for when it comes to value for money red wine. I had number 8 tied with this. I thought that maybe it could be one of my candidates for the Australian wine. Menthol Pine really reminded me of a Coonawarra Cabernet Sauvignon, if you remember me saying this. 8, a lot of menthol. I don't have a Coonawarra Cab here, although I do have an Australian one. I was really scared I was going to get some of these messed up, but I think I'm quite on point with a lot of these wines. It is from Australia. This is the Yerringberg Yarra Valley 2017. This is Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec. Just had that mintiness, 60% Cabernet Sauvignon. I like this wine a lot. 91 points. Here's the kicker though, $100 in the US. It's about 40 in Australia, I think. Australian wines can get expensive when they're over here. So it is what it is. With the screw cap, I don't mind wines with screw cap. I know this is one of the premier producers in Australia. Really good wine. I'm glad that I got the Australian wine right. Number 3, it had a lot of mocha flavors, cassis, really deep, rich flavors. 92 points. I thought it was To me, maybe a little bit more wood now, but I could not deny the quality. I thought it was very good. This is from Argentina. This is also young. The Zuccardi Tito Red. This is 85% Malbec, 15% Cabernet Franc, 45 bucks, 92 points. I'm a huge fan of Zuccardi and what they do in a Malbec. Deep flavors, must have come with the Malbec, deep color. Okay, I have two here tied at 92 plus points. Number 6. It was oaky, but had the cassis and the finish. If you remember, I was talking about the finish just made it really good. 92 plus points. I think it was a very good wine. This is the History Red Wine Blend from Columbia Valley in Washington State. 73% Cabernet, 25% Malbec, 1% Merlot, 1% Cabernet Franc. 45 bucks, right on the border of Oregon and Washington State. I think this is made by the Stoller family. Nice little wine, a little oaky for me now, but I could not deny the quality. Besides the Yerringberg, I think it's a false price, $200 in the US and Aussie, it's 40. But the real expensive wines, they're holding up over top. I guess they're showing the best here. So also tied at 92 plus, number 12, Menthol, Black Cherry, really leathery. I thought this might be the Australian wine, but I decided, remember, between number 8 and this. 92 plus points, very good wine. Let's see if it's expensive. It is expensive. This is the Tenuta Carobbio Pietraforte Cabernet Sauvignon from Tuscany, 2014. So it's a super Tuscan. This is mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. It has a little bit of Cabernet Franc in it. 100 bucks. Not a well-known producer. Some of their other wines I've tasted have shown really well in the past. Okay, and down to the top 4. And before I reveal, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on the bell so you know when new videos are coming out. And tell me, do you like Bordeaux blends? What price range do you like to stick to when you're looking at Bordeaux blends from around the world? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. I honestly didn't think the most expensive wines would show up at the top here. Number 9 here, Menthol Dark Mineral, really minerally. This is the wine I said, you know, maybe a lot of people won't like it now as much, but I could not deny the quality. 93 points. The menthol flavors got to me. I actually thought this was the Bordeaux. This is the Domaine de Chevalier Grand Cru Classé de Grave 2020. Pessac Léognan, 65 Cab, 27 Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cabernet Franc, 100 bucks. This is an excellent wine. They're more famous for their white. I think the red's excellent. I'm really shocked that 2020 Bordeaux showed that well young. I'm really impressed. Pessac Léognan is just an area of Bordeaux that I really like. On the left bank, they do whites and reds exceptionally well. And I think the Cabernet just has a mineralness, as we could see right here. I love that wine. It ages super well. I was impressed. Number 11, Cassis Menthol Spices. I don't know, 93 plus. Let's see here. Let's see, we have all... Wow! So some of the expensive wines coming to play. This is the Smith-Madrone Cook's Flat. This is 90% Cabernet Sauvignon, 10% Cabernet Franc, 200 to 230 bucks from Spring Mountain. So it's mountain fruit in Napa Valley. This is their premium bottling. It's a producer that I've always really liked. Their basic Cabernet is like 60 bucks and it ages pretty well. This is limited edition bottling. It's only 1,800 bottles. This is bottle number 1231. Showed why it's a great wine. Very nice. The expensive wines are holding out here. I can't remember what we have left. Let's go to number 1 here. 94 points, chocolatey, leathery, like an old bookcase. Remember I talked about wood? 94 points. Wow. The Indaco. This is the Tenuta, Sette, Cielli. Malbec, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, 65 bucks. Toscana Rosso, but I think the estate is actually in Bulgari, where Sassicaia is also from. I think it's outstanding wine. Remember when I was tasting it early on, I said, oh, this might be old world, maybe Italian, maybe Frenchy. I'm glad I nailed it. Wine 1, old world, like maybe Italian or Frenchy. First place, chocolatey, mocha, leather, soy sauce. A little bit oaky for me now, but I could not deny the quality. This does not surprise me. Now I know what the last wine standing is. It is one of the more expensive wines. This wine gets poo-pooed on a lot. I've tasted blind so many times, and this wine has always showed well. This is the Beringer Private Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon 2019 from Napa Valley. Anywhere from 150 to 175 bucks. Wine Advocate 95 plus. James Suckling 97, so I'm right there, 95. Outstanding wine. I know it's not cheap, but wow, that's good. One thing that's unique about the Beringer, the trend now in Napa is the more expensive wines, single vineyard blends. I like that the Beringer, this is just basically the best fruit, the best barrels, they blend together. I can't remember if it's Mount Vita or Howell Mountain that's primarily in this. I think St. Helena, a lot of St. Helena fruit that's on the valley floor goes into it. So I learn as much in these tastings as you do. Quite humbling for me. I was excited, even though I'm pretty confident in my own palate. I have to admit, before I started doing this tasting, I thought, am I going to include so many wines? Maybe the inexpensive wines are going to show way better. You have little wins that build your confidence. One of my mentors in wine always told me, everybody makes mistakes. And there are times when some people don't trust their first instinct. So thanks for being with me. It really meant a lot. Okay, so the most expensive wines, were they really 10 times better than the cheaper wines? No, they were not. But I'm really shocked. Sometimes the least expensive wines really surprise you. But here, the more expensive wines showed why they're a little bit more expensive. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.